Ask yourself this. Did you truly have any hope of stopping me? Power, that is all that matters. The power to claim what is rightfully mine. For I am Lord Lucian of the Marjorat, master of the 1,000 curses. Look upon my works and despair.
Welcome to episode 250. Trey, it's the big 250. Can you believe it?
It's crazy.
Craziness indeed. And to add to the craziness, we got some fun stuff to talk about. While Guthix Sleeps has been released. So we'll talk about that new quest, a new big quest that came out. There was a mini, what did you call it earlier? The mini game rebalance?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they're calling it Project Rebalance, although it was at the end of some Rebalance blog, but it definitely spiritually, it feels like a rebalance.
Yeah, so maybe this is the part 4 or 5 of the rebalance saga that we were going through a few episodes ago. Interesting though, there's so many mini games, and I think a lot of us, there's definitely a bunch of mini games that feel like they need a little bit of updating. And I guess, both of us on our new / mid-game Iron Men, we're kind of going through a bunch of these mini games. So I know for sure that I recognize that a lot of these mini games are just, I don't know, they're not great. They could be they could be better. They could be a lot better. And then lastly, we had Dead Man Mode kick off just the other day. So we'll briefly touch on that. It's a bit of a mess, which is why we'll briefly touch on it. But Trey, how's it been going? How's life in and outside of RuneScape?
It's great. I'm just happy every time I log on still. I'm trying to remember where I was at last time we recorded, but I've been, just going hard on the iron. I'm getting close to base 70s. That's kind of been my goal. Obviously Song of the Elves is a big milestone within all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But just, I've probably said a million times at this point how much I love just, getting my lowest stat up. So at this point I have, six skills in the 60s still. So hopefully getting those up. I finally got past the farming's an interesting skill. I feel like farming, you kind of have to get going on it and kind of almost dig a rut to, once you get like a rhythm, a groove, that's the word I'm looking for. Like once you get a groove with farming, it's not bad at all. But getting going and kind of establishing that first farm run and getting like your bank, tag set up for it and everything is always so annoying. So I finally took the time, got that all set up. So now I can just pop out a farm run whenever I'm feeling it.
That's true about farming, isn't it? Because I think I said last episode, how cool the farming experience is on an Iron Man, where you're constantly gathering vegetables and stuff that you're going to use to protect other crops later on. That whole system is kind of cool. But I have the same problem where when I'm actively farming, it's great. I'm just doing a bunch of different allotments, going to different tree patches. I'm going all over Gillinor doing farming. But then once I stop and I don't do it for a day or two, it's hard for me to get everything to go back out there. I am playing on mobile, so part of it is just it's kind of a pain in the ass to pull out just everything you need. And herb seeds, oh my God, what a mess. I hate dealing with herb seeds on mobile because you got a long press to figure out what they all are. But maybe that's a whole other issue. But anyways, I see what you're talking about.
You're right. I didn't think about that part of it. But yeah, so I've gotten that kind of figured out, and I'm kind of jumping between skilling and PVM as you do, and it kind of whatever kind of sounds fun at the time. I'm really struggling. So, obviously when we record, we do something nice in AFK because we're recording a podcast.
What are you doing right now?
But I'm stuck in the stupid Monkey Madness 2 platform right now.
And you can do the Monkey Madness docs right now.
Oh my God. I just got caught too. So I was going to do like a no-hit run, right? Like I was feeling good about it because Quest Helper, I didn't have Quest Helper the first time I did it. It was such a pain. And I got here on my iron and it's been like, it went super smooth. And then something was throwing me off and I got caught. And now the Quest Helper is all bugging out on me because it keeps sending me to the place where I have already put a satchel down and it won't update. So now I'm without Quest Helper again. Ugh. Oh man.
That sometimes is worse than doing it without a Quest Helper at all, Quest Guide. Because I know I've been doing a lot of quests on my iron, and Quest Helper is great. But then every now and then it bugs out, it screws up, and then you have to like backtrack and be like, I gotta go to the wiki and read through every single step that I've done because I'm so confused on where the Quest Helper messed up.
Yeah, it's like brutal. If somebody's like, if you're following your friend in their car or something, and then you lose them, and you're like, I don't even know how I got here. I
yeah, you just start turning at random, and now you're like, okay, great. This is bad.
But yeah, I've been doing a lot of like barrows, and I'm still trying to get up to Perilous Moons, but I just once again just leaning into the ADHD, having so much fun, just being like, 7D construction, that sounds fun. And part of finally getting into the farm runs is getting consistent seaweed runs. So I got 70 crafting finally because I got 77 magic. So 77 magic and getting a farm run established is what I needed for crafting, because that is the super glass make, big. That's like the only way to train crafting on an Iron Man. So yeah, it's just things are I'm hitting milestones. Things are coming together. I did feel, what skill was I doing? There was a skill I was doing where I finally felt that first like, oh, I can't get 5 levels every hour anymore. Like I hit that first like kind of hurdle of, the exponential rise in XP that we have in this game.
When did you notice this?
Somewhere, but like I can't remember what skill it was, but it was trading from 60 to 70, and it was like, I can't go from 60 to 70 in 30 minutes.
No, this is like a slow grind. Yeah, I agree. I'm right there right now. Everything is slowing down.
Yeah, and the dopamine gets stretched out a little thinner now. But that's okay. I'm still just having a great time. I know that feeling of the dopamine being stretched out will change a lot. Once I get, people talk about mid-game iron as like the dream, just going for little barrows items and I'm going to get caught by these monkeys again. Sorry. I might just have to stand here for the rest of this. I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's, Monkey Madness 2 is a brutal quest. To me, it's like the first big it was such a big deal when it was coming out and on old school RuneScape. Even like RuneScape 3 players were kind of like, wait, what? Because it was like the first big quest we ever got that was original to OSRS. And what was kind of cool was, one, it was continuing the iconic storyline of Monkey Madness, but also like RuneScape 3 didn't have a Monkey Madness 2. So it was like really strange for us to get this continuation of a story that I don't know how RuneScape 3 handled it. I don't know if they just never continued it or maybe they I have no idea. So yeah, Monkey Madness 2 was a really cool release, but that quest is I haven't done it since I've only done it once in my main, and that was like a long time ago. But I don't remember walking away being like, that was a cool quest. I remember walking away and thinking this quest fucking sucks. Because there's mainly the dock section that you're stuck at, where it's like anytime you have to do like some sort of stealthing in old school RuneScape, like who the hell decided that this is something that needs to happen at all, let alone like it's kind of common to do in quests, and there's some activities that revolve around this stealth because the movement and everything is just janky. And the dock section, you have to like run around, drop these like bombs to blow up these docks, and you have these ninja monkeys, I think, and they're just patrolling the docks, and you need to like sneak by them, and it's very frustrating. Yeah, it's a very frustrating experience.
Well,
When I
and
did, yeah.
I was just gonna say the worst part about it is that if you get caught, you get sent all the way back to the beginning, and you're like planting this gunpowder to blow up these docks, and you get sent back to the beginning, and your gunpowder is lost. So then you always have to go back to get the gunpowder, and and then you have to and so I've been doing this first section like 20 times now because it takes me like 15 minutes to get to the part where I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go. So then I get caught there trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. I have to do the next 15 minutes again. Yeah, it's a pain. And not to mention, what I was doing for the first hour this morning was the big agility area underneath Apatoll, which is another big annoying area where you're trying to get through all these agility obstacles. And you know how agility works in RuneScape. You just watch your guy fail something and then you go all the way back to the beginning. So yeah, it's a pain.
I remember doing Monkey Madness 2, doing it on my main, and it was like, first off, it took so long, but it was around midnight when I got to the dock section, and if I'm not mistaken, the dock section, like you're kind of close to the end, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was following like a YouTube guide, whether probably Slayer music or maybe it was Wiki, I don't really remember, but it was midnight and I knew I was close and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to finish this quest and I'm going to bed. And that dock section took me like an hour and a half because I was so tired. I kept messing up. And there's all these tricks you can do if you're good at the game. You can easily bypass a bunch of the things you're trying to not get caught by. And it's like these corner tricks where like you can walk over top of the monkeys if you click at the right second. But the problem is if you're not good at it or you're rushing or you're panicking or stressed, you're going to make these mistakes, and doing the corner trick is going to cause you to get caught over and over again. So it's this like problem that I have. Like Dark or Bloodborne has this issue where sometimes you have to fight a boss and then the checkpoint or the closest respawn is so friggin' far away from the boss. Mm-hmm. You have to run through all of these monsters that respawn. So just like in RuneScape, you're taking your time the first few times and you're like, I'm just going to do this properly and get to the end. But then you get so frustrated having to do it over and over again. You start rushing and you say, fuck it, I'm just going to full send it. And that's causing you to get caught or get killed on Bloodborne. And it's just, that stuff sticks with you. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning and you're like, I need to go to bed now. I'm not going to finish this quest tonight. That sort of stuff sticks with you.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about, both with Bloodborne and RuneScape.
Oh, craziness. All right, so you're working on Monkey Madness 2. That's going to be a big unlock. What are you going to do once you complete it? Are you going to be rushing your Zenite jewelry?
No, it'll be, I've kind of been, it's more of a goal of unlocking, because I'm very far off from even being able to do anything with my Zenites. But more just unlocking, the alternative Slayer tasks. So another thing I want to do after this is, what's it called? Fremennik Exiles, which is, will allow me for Basilisk tasks to kill the whatever they're called, the bigger ones, the Basilisk Knights. Yeah. So when I get those as tasks, so slowly, the dream would be that when I get the crafting level to do Zenites, that I just have them waiting in my bank for it. But yeah, just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. It's a cool feeling to have these things unlocked so that when I get there, they'll be waiting for me, because there's nothing worse than hitting a milestone than being like, all right, I have to go do this quest now or something. But Slayer's always, obviously on Iron Man, Slayer's huge. My current Slayer task is a Jad task, and nice. I've been stalling, if I'm being honest. I've sent a couple of Fight Caves runs that have been unsuccessful, and it's never Jad. I'm not worried at all about Jad. It's just low DPS and having to be much more patient. And yeah, that's hard. It's hard to when it takes me like a full 2 minutes to kill the major each time, because my levels are low and my gear is low and stuff. So that's just something I think I really just have to adjust my like internal pacing on this account. which is something I'm just continually getting used to.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Like making a new account is a whole change of pace because like on main, so much is unlocked. You have all these teleports. You have just so much run energy, even stuff like that. But then, yeah, of course, the actual DPS. I remember I had a Slayer task to go kill black dragons, and I was like, no problem, I can do this. And I went and got it was in the wilderness, and I went and got a bunch of mind runes because I was like, you know what, with the new magic changes, they're weak to water. I'm going to be able to just blast them in the face. It's going to be no problem. And it took me like 700 casts just to get a black dragon kill. It took me like so long, like 20 minutes. And the worst part is I didn't even kill it. I got it down to like literally like 30 HP, and then a PKer showed up and killed me. It was brutal.
Yeah, it's just a whole, and I know that that's going to continue. Even if I max my like combat stats, all of them to 99, it's still going to feel different because I'm not going to be able to do my first TOA with the Fang. That kind of, it's like obviously. So yeah, just a learning experience. And I hope that I can kind of adjust that. And now that I have a task for the fight caves, I want to go in like over prepared so that I don't mess it up and just lose that task. But I do want to do it because obviously fire capes is very good to have. But I think it's just having done some work on Inferno, not having beat the Inferno, but obviously getting, pretty deep into the Inferno, you start feeling like a gamer, and then you get humbled by not being able to even get to Jad on the fight caves.
Yeah. It's tough. What's kind of nice is going back to you're talking about the change of pace with playing like a newer account where you don't have a Fang, you don't have all of this, like you don't have the stats and you don't have the gear. What's kind of cool is when you do jump on your main, it just feels so sandboxy. It feels like you're playing one of those games where you can just like you're on a beta world, you can just equip whatever you want. Yeah, when I jump on my main, it's just so much fun to actually shred and do a bunch of damage just because it's such a different experience. I don't remember what I was going to say. I forgot why I brought that up. What were we talking about?
Well, I can say it's something else to kind of transition, because the other thing, speaking of my main, that I have been doing, and I think you've been doing as well, is procrastinating the hell out of doing While Guthix Sleeps.
Yeah, sort of.
that for me, it was, we obviously we talked about like, hey, While Guthix Sleeps is coming out, let's record it for the pod. And I get on there and there's no quest helper. And my immediate reaction is just like, oh, I do not want to do this right now. This, it was, I tried to, I did. I read all of the dialogue and stuff, which I won't deny that I don't usually do. Tried to follow the story, and it was a cool quest. And I did it, a couple of days late, so there was like the quick help guide on the wiki, just stuff that people had figured out. But yeah, it was just hard to get the motivation for it. But yeah,
I ended up getting stuck on the last boss on my main, and then I jumped over to my iron, and then it was hard to get back to it. When I jumped on it like day one, I've been cracking away at it, and I was having a lot of fun. I was like, oh, this is great. This is a fun quest. I'm enjoying this. And there wasn't a whole lot of points where I got completely stuck on something. That happened with Desert Treasure too, where I would just get completely stuck and I had to go ask for help because I wasn't figuring it out. And then I don't want to look at a guide, so I tend to just like ask someone like, what do you do here? And they just tell you. Usually puzzles and all that sort of stuff. But While Guthix Sleeps it's been quite enjoyable. I just got to the boss, couldn't beat it. And then I logged out and switched over to my iron because I was like really tired and in bed. I'm like, I'm not going to try this now. I'm just going to play on my iron. And if you've ever had to switch accounts on mobile and you're on the Jagex account launcher thingy, it's kind of a pain in the ass to switch between your accounts. It's not a big deal, but it just takes like a minute and a half. And that's a lot of XP loss, So
oh yeah,
I've just been on my iron, but And then I just haven't been able to jump back on my main to finish it because my iron's at a cool place where I'm like, I'm having like a lot of fun with things. I've been wilderness locked for a long while, just doing Slayer and other activities in the wilderness. But I'm finally getting to the point where I'm branching out from that, and I've really enjoyed being wilderness locked. Like you just get so many cool supplies, and you just get, I don't know. I like it. I like the idea of always being in a little bit of danger of PKers showing up and all that sort of stuff. I like that balance of the risk and the reward. But here I am, like getting ready to kind of branch out and start getting my actual weapons. I'm kind of working towards that zombie axe, which means I need to go back and actually do a bunch of the quests that are early on in the While Guthix Sleeps quest line, which was kind of fun. So we're gonna get into it, I guess, in a minute. But While Guthix Sleeps surrounds this villain named Lucian, and when you do Temple of Ikov, I think it's called, you deal with Lucian early on before he's like this big bad guy. He's level 14, which is hilarious. I did it on my iron, and I just like used 2 magic short bow specs on him, and he died. And I was like, is this guy really what's causing us so much issue? He's level 14. How much training did he actually do between Temple of Ikov and While Guthix Sleeps? Spoilers, it seems like it was a fair bit. The dude was like definitely like auto clicking or something. But but now in order to get the zombie axe, well, Trey, I know you struggled with getting it, but what were you doing to kill the zombies?
So that was interesting because it's for a main or for a more experienced account, you just burst them because you can't put a cannon down there. And I was kind of luring them over and doing them one by one, but I saw somebody suggest just you go in, but the tile right up the ladder from the zombies is within their aggro range. So the idea is you go down so they see you, and then you stand up at top of the ladder for 20 minutes until they de-aggro, and then you can just go in and kill them one by one like you would, and that ranger guy won't attack you. So that's pretty much what I did. I would just click on the ladder, click back up, go wash the dishes or something, then come back. And yeah, it was really annoying. Or another thing I would do is I would go down the ladder, go back up, and then just leave my computer on. And then after like 30 minutes had passed, I would get on mobile after my computer had gotten logged out. And that aggro range is consistent between accounts or between, mobile and PC. So I'll just kill them on mobile. But yeah, it was a pain. I went almost double dry for that. And I was very happy to have that done.
Yeah, that sounds very painful. So I don't want to go through what you went through. And I love the tray tech where it like consists of waiting. You just wait, whether it's for your energy to go back up or you wait for your teleport cooldowns to come off. Cooldown, or the aggro timer. But yeah, so like you said, a lot of people are bursting it, and that's kind of what I want to do because I watched this YouTube video. I didn't realize you could do this. This seems broken. Like I can't believe, honestly, I can't believe I'm just learning this recently. But I didn't know you could use blighted items in PvP worlds. I thought it had to be in the wilderness no matter what.
Anywhere?
That's the video that I saw, unless I'm getting trolled hardcore. But I've talked to people about it, and they said, yeah, you can. So that doesn't seem right to me. I got to go test this out right now because I think I'm getting trolled, and I'm giving out some false information. But
I mean, it's a good time to be doing PvP worlds if deadmate mode's going on.
That's true. So yeah, there's apparently I'm gonna go try it right now because I actually haven't tested it. I just someone told me you could do it after I watched a YouTube video. So let's do this live reporting. Grab me a blighted angler. So if you don't know, blighted objects is like blighted food and potions and blighted spell sacks. These are like items that you can get through usually PvP activities or wilderness activities, and they're just resources that can only be used in the wilderness or potentially the PvP worlds. I'm in Fowler right now. Let's test it out. Yeah, you can't eat it. That's crazy.
That is wild. So something kind of on the subject of PvP worlds and stuff. and the wilderness. So wilderness agility, you talked about an episode or two ago, you were doing the wilderness agility.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's all based on staying there, not getting PK'd and stuff. But it was about a week ago, I found there was this streamer called George, I think. I've seen him on Behemoth before, but I guess he was doing a PvP stream where he said, hey, everybody, come to the Wilderness Agility Arena and you can run laps to your heart's content. And me and my PvP buddies are going to kill any PKers that come. And so I went there and we were just running laps and just having the time of our lives. And you make so much money there and you get so many, once you get past because it rewards you for how long you're there. And it was getting to the point where I would run a lap, which takes like a minute, of the Wilderness Agility course. And one of my laps, I got 8 blighted restores and a rune chain body. So that's incredible money.
It's like 120K.
Yeah. And so in the clan, it was Feel Good, who we just had on the takeover episode. Feel Good was like, let's do that. So we got out there and all of us baby irons brought our mains for PKers. I got out there with a Void Waker and, just to look intimidating. I was not very useful, but and we just ran laps for 2 to 3 hours and I made 2 mil of cash. And then I'm set for life on blighted restores, blighted food. It's so good.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I wish I was able to join that because I've heard that where people are just doing these mass world PvP, wilderness agility courses, and just making bank. And I think that's such a cool. That's what I love about the wilderness. Because it's so sandboxy. We talk about how sandboxy OSRS is, but I think the wilderness is adds so much more to the sandboxiness because you can do that and then PvPers can show up and they're going to probably get smacked down unless they're a really big clan. If a really big PvP clan was able to find out this was going on, they could have probably made tons of money, no, right? They could have just showed up and killed everyone. It's cool. I like that dynamic. You get a ton of blighted resources, which you can use in PvP worlds. So what this YouTube video showed me was you can go to the place where you kill zombies for the zombie axe. By the way, what a stupid name for the axe. They couldn't think of anything else. A zombie axe. What does that even mean? The zombies make it? Is it? Anyways, I won't get into it, but the zombie area is apparently instanced. So you don't have to worry about someone else coming into your room and taking it's your own separate room. You don't have to worry about anyone else showing up. So the video I saw was you can go into your instance on a PvP world and then you can just use all your blighted resources and you could also use blighted ice barrage sacks. So you get these spell sacks that you can cast any ice spell from the ancient spell book. And I've got a ton of them because I've been doing so much wilderness content. So that's what I want to do is work towards 70 magic so that I can do and finish Desert Treasure so that I can now go and ice barrage these zombies to get the zombie axe. And the reason I want the zombie axe is so that I can go kill. I got a hellhounds task in the wilderness, and I'm so sick of killing hellhounds. I've killed so many of them, and they're so friggin' boring because they don't drop anything. They're very easy though. They're super AFK, and no one can kill you, and it's super easy to safe spot them. No one ever shows up. I've killed hundreds. But you can also kill Vedion's skeleton. Vedion's this wilderness boss that drops a lot of cool loot. It's a really fun boss to kill, and it's quite easy in the sense that once you learn the fight, you never have to take any damage. You don't really even have to pray that much against anything except for the hellhounds he spawns. And then eventually he spawns these 2 hellhounds, and you have to kill them, but they count as your Slayer tasks, so you get experience for that. And the zombie axe is supposed to be decent there, at least for me.
Yeah, it's been good for me. I've used it there as well.
Cool. So I'm on this long back and I have all these goals that lead up towards the zombie axe just to kill Vedion. Which means in order to get 70 magic, I need to train it up from 60. So I decided to go to Mage Training Arena
Oh no.
because I need to get bones to peaches eventually, and I need to get my infinity boots because that's how you make the best in slot magic boots. So I was like, I gotta do it eventually. I may as well go there now. And it's a way to train my magic. I've done a lot of the quests that would give me my magic experience, so I can't really quest for that anymore. So yeah, I'm doing Mage Training Arena, and I've been doing it all on mobile, and I will say it's actually not bad. I was doing it, I'm like, I don't hate this. This is okay. The problem comes from it's only okay, and the problem it comes from is like you have to do hours and hours and hours of it. So like none of it is fun enough that after like 2 hours of doing it, you're like, I love this. It gets old after like the first hour. You're like, okay, how much more of this do I have to do? Oh fuck. So there's just a bunch of different rooms with all these like little mini games, but you can just tell that it was built in like 2003, where like people would have been like, this is so like, I don't know, this is so innovative for the game. But like now it's like, I'm just high alking stuff. Really, that's what I have to do. Yeah.
It's really funny because I really have wanted, a big goal of mine has been 77 magic for super glass make, so I could kind of launch into a lot of my crafting training. And I keep asking people like in the clan, like, how do I get like AFK magic training? Like, what's the best? Like, I know like magic at Nightmare Zone's not good. I don't really want to do splashing. I'm not that desperate. And everybody just keeps saying like, just go bursting, just go bursting. And I'm like, no, I'm waiting on Slayer. Like, I don't know. I've been kind of whiny about it. And they're like, well, why don't you just go to Mage Training Arena? You're gonna have to do it eventually. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that right now. I got my diary cape on the main, and I will maintain that was the worst grind of all of them combined. Like, I didn't mind Chompies. I didn't mind a lot of that stuff, but man, Mage Training Arena just sticks in my craw. I hated it. And I know they've updated it, so it's a little bit better, but it is so, I did not enjoy it at all.
I will say, so I have done a little bit on my computer. So did I mention how, Trey, we were talking before this. Did I mention how I'm playing mostly mobile because I got a puppy? It's just taking. Okay, so I can't be on my computer as much just because I got a puppy. By the way, puppy's friggin' insane. Oh my gosh, she's ripped so many of my shorts because we're trying to train her to stop jumping up and biting. So she's really good with everyone else in the family except for me because I'm the one that likes to play with her, and I kind of play with her a little bit too rough, and I have to stop doing that. So she just jumps up and just bites on my shorts and just rips them. It's fucking insane. She's crazy. But it's been fun. But I've done a little bit of Mage Training Arena on my computer, and then I've done majority of it on my phone. And it's funny because RuneLite tells you exactly what to do for Mage Training Arena. It makes it really easy. You can do it way faster. But it's not fun. It's so much more enjoyable on my phone when I need to think about it. Like there's this puzzle where you have to like do telekinetic grab from, northwest, south, or east to get this golem to move in whatever direction you're using your telekinetic grab for it. And you have this maze you have to get through. And it's actually kind of, I hate it much less when I'm doing it on my phone because I actually have to think, which sounds really weird because I'm going much slower, but it just keeps me engaged the whole time compared to on RuneLite where I'm just like clicking whatever the box is highlighted, and it's just like it's very brain dead. So
yeah.
It's still not great. It's still not great.
Looking forward to that. I know it has to come eventually, but I'll save Diary Cape for a time when I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, and it's always better not to do them in just one big grind. Like it's better to chip away at it. So like do an hour here and there, and then over the course of I don't know a year and a half, however long it takes you to get to the point where you need bones to peaches, you'll be pretty good. So anywho, that's been what I've been up to, and I know we have a lot to talk to. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
We have just planted the final satchel. I can stop being a bad podcaster and do something AFK. I'm so happy.
Oh, nice. You did it.
Yes.
It's impressive.
Oh, man. That is such a pain. I still don't know what's going on with RuneLite. It feels like it needs to update a little better on that, but Oh man, yeah. I will wait for the rest of Monkey Madness till we're done recording. But I'm so happy to be done with that forever on this account.
Totally. And yeah, there's a lot of the older quests that Quest Helper is not as good. Like someone needs to go back and update some of them.
Yeah.
Because I had some problems in some of the earlier requests where it's like, this Quest Helper's bugging out on me, but the newer quests seem great.
Yeah.
All right, should we hop and go talk about While Guthix Sleeps?
Let's do it.
All right. While Guthix Sleeps is the big quest. And the good news is, whether we procrastinated or not, it has been completed, or in my case, it's like so close to being finished. I'm just missing the big conclusion, but it's okay. You can spoil it for me. But before we talk about all the nitty gritty of it, how was your experience doing While Guthix Sleeps? You waited until Quest Helper came out, or at least the quick guides on Wiki. How'd you find the quest? How'd you find the story? Did you pay attention, or did you spacebar all the way through?
No, yeah, it was really good. I really liked that, we talked about, once again, like an episode or two ago, we talked about how our character that we play in RuneScape is kind of either an idiot or a bad person, because like this entire thing, and the funny thing about this quest is you're constantly reminded of this entire thing is your fault, because you just blindly followed this guy in the Temple of Ikob quest to give this staff of Armadil to Lucian, or I don't know if you gave it to him or showed him where it was or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it all works out, but yeah, you're basically this, dark, mysterious force is like, hey, can you go get this for me? And you're like, this doesn't seem suspicious at all. Sure, I like doing quests. And it's this, like you said, this stupid little quest where he's like level 14. But it leads to this like Grandmaster level quest because of this little mistake you made. And I think that's really funny. And you're, every NPC you talk to is like, aren't you the one that started this? And you're like, yeah.
And it's interesting because in Temple of Ikob, you can make the choice on whether you kill him or help him get the Staff of Armadil. And so I can't remember what I did on my main. I'm pretty sure I gave him the staff because I gave you a pendant of Armadil, I think, which you could then use as a God Wars piece. I was really min-maxing on my main when I first played through it. But this time around, I was like, no. I know where this goes. I'm going to friggin' kill this dude. And I killed Lucian. And I don't think any of it matters because the person goes, Lucian's going to gather his forces in the north. We'll see you later. And you're like, wait, what?
It would be pretty funny if they
shot 4 arrows into this dude. He's dead. What are you talking about?
It'd be funny if they just changed it so that if you kill Lucian, it auto completes While Guthix Sleeps for you. Or
like you fail it. Have you ever played like I'll play like Fallout, like the Fallout game, and then you'll just get like a pop-up that's like quest failed. And you're like, wait, what? What happened? Oh, I hate when that happens. Or The Witcher 3 is also big on that one. Holy crap, there's a few times where it's like quest failed. You're like, fuck, I want to reload.
But other than that, it was, I really enjoyed it. The puzzles were cool. I'm trying to remember. I think for the most part, the puzzles were, I kind of judge the RuneScape puzzles on if they're solvable without a guide or not. And I think for the most part, these are pretty intuitive and pretty cool. So that was good. And I loved the gathering of the Slayer Masters and all of that. And I guess one of my questions for you would be, so I struggled a lot on the magic fight, the like wizard fight or whatever. And then the elemental fight, the one that you've been struggling with, wasn't a problem at all for me. So I'm curious to hear about the differences in those fights for you. Is it all just because you're on mobile, you think?
It might be. Okay, so honestly, like it's been a little bit since the quest came out, and I can't even remember what the magic fight is. I'm trying to think. And just to say, I came off like a vacation last week where I've just been doing a ton of stuff around the house. So like my brain's just full of it's not firing. I can't remember what's the magic fight. I remember who it's against the Dagonhide dude.
Yeah. So it's
and I couldn't use my shadow on him, which threw me off. I think
yeah,
I
you have to
struggled
use
a
elemental
little
spells.
bit.
Yeah.
Was it
No,
elemental?
yeah, because you have to be on the standard spell book and you have to use elemental spells. It was a really unique fight. All the fights I thought were really unique. But yeah, that one. So you have to use elemental spells, and then he'll summon. He has like 3 specials. One of them he'll summon like a fireball, and you have to shoot it.
Yeah.
Or one of the elemental spells, you have to shoot it with the opposite. So you have to shoot the water one with earth. You have to shoot the fire one with air, whatever. And then he'll summon like a knight that will come at you. And if it's a strong knight, you have to weaken him and then kill him. And if it's an agile knight, you have to bind him. But yeah, it was a really cool. I thought it was a unique fight. With once again, like I said, when Desert Treasure 2 came out, it's crazy with how limited all of the game's mechanics are. How they just keep finding new and interesting ways to make these boss fights interesting. But I struggle with that one a lot. Even on my maxed main, it was it mostly just because it was mostly an issue of opening my spell book and then trying to remember which one to do, and then having those tiny little icons on the standard spell book because it's so full.
I think I brute forced it because I didn't do.
Oh, really?
I didn't do any of the things you're talking about. Shooting it with the opposite spells or weakening. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I had blood barrage on the whole time, and I was just healing up as I attacked. And it did take me a few tries because there's a few things that I kept screwing me up. Like I would bring my shadow out there, and I can't. It said something about like you using powered staff or something. But yeah, I think I just brute forced and ate a lot of damage and then somehow healed up.
That's really funny.
So that's the it's like kind of the sad part about questing on like a main is like so many times you can brute force things where you're just like, I'm going to bring a bunch of Cerebrews, I'm going to bring the best armor, and I don't even know if I'm going to do the fight properly, but I should be able to just out heal and out damage it. So doing it on an iron, I'm actually looking a little bit more forward to because I'll actually need to prepare a little bit. I'll need to understand how the fight works. So that should be fun. I didn't realize it was like skipping a bunch of the mechanics. That's kind of funny.
That explains a lot because I remember, you said you were struggling with that the boss, and I was like, oh yeah, that one was kind of complicated. And you said it was the elemental boss, and I was like, oh man, I thought that fight was way easier than the magician or the wizard fight.
Yeah, so where I'm struggling with the elemental is it's this fight where you're constantly kind of switching your prayers and switching your attack styles, and he speeds up once he gets low health, so you have to start switching things really quickly. And he's like invulnerable against the other combat styles, so you need to really match it. And the tough part is like on mobile, I think I'm just not quick enough to make all the switches, and I keep eating. He does this attack if you don't switch fast enough where he drains like all your stats and your prayer and stuff. And so that's what keeps on getting me. But the part where I struggled a lot was, so I haven't been reading any guides for this quest, including the boss fights. I've been just trying to figure it out myself. And the elemental has these 3 forms. It's this fire form, this air form, and this like water form. And that depending on what form he is what attack style he's going to use. And the tough part is that I found that the air and the water look so similar.
I've heard people saying that, yeah, because it's like white and then like a really light blue.
A light blue, and even the shape of it's like they just look very similar unless you're like, so like that is where I screwed up a bunch, is like I keep praying against the wrong thing and I just take a lot of damage, and it takes me a minute to figure it out because I'm like, oh, like why am I taking so much damage? I'm praying melee, and then you're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be praying mage for this one. So that's where it screws me up a bunch, is that I don't realize what form it is, and it's just yeah. So that's what's been getting me a bunch. Sorry, I know we're a little bit all over the place with this quest, but like the part that really this is really sad. The part that I got really stuck on was you're sneaking into the hideout of the of where like all the I guess like the Black Knights are and stuff. There's two parts. So you're sneaking into like the Lucian's lair, basically, like his little headquarters where all of his minion dudes are chilling for the most part. So there's one at the very beginning of the quest where it's in the Khazard battlefield. You go underground and there's like a Khazard hideout. Do you know what part I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's two doors. One door is locked. There's actually multiple doors. There's like a prison door that's locked. Another door that that you think you need to get in. I thought I needed to get into that's locked. And then there's the you go underground and there's another door and it's kind of got this puzzle. You're supposed to add a certain rune, I believe, to the door and it will open it up. And it wasn't quite obvious to me that I had to do that. And I couldn't figure out what I needed to do to get out there to get, I thought I needed to unlock one of the doors. So I was like trying to figure out where the keys are. So there's like 50 boxes you can, like crates you can search. I searched every single one of them thinking I was going to find a key in there. Nothing. There's a bunch of NPCs. I thought I had to kill them. If I'm not mistaken, if they find you, if they see you, they aggro onto you and they try to kill you. But when they see you, they say something like, hey, we have an intruder. I found an intruder. Like they say like, I spotted an intruder trying to sneak in here. They say something like that and then they attack you. So I thought I had to maybe kill all of them or kill a certain one to get a key. So I killed a bunch of them and they just kept respawning. And then I was like, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to sneak underground, but I can't let it, I thought it was a stealth part. I can't let any of these Khazard people see me because if they see me, they instantly shout, I found an intruder and they aggro onto you. So what I need to do is I need to sneak past them. I need to make it so they can't aggro onto me. And it's hard because it's just these small hallways, but they kind of, they wander a little bit. So that's what I kept trying to do. And I was so convinced this is what I had to do. And I spent so long trying to sneak by because of this one hallway where there's two guards and they kind of just randomly wander around. But they sometimes will wander to opposite sides and it looks like you can sneak around both of them. But I just kept getting caught. But I was getting so close to not getting caught that I was like, this is doable. So I thought I spent probably about an hour like trying to figure it out. And then I said, like, I can't. And then I asked the CC, like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know, how am I supposed to do this? And they're like, oh, you just use a rune on the door. And I was like, oh my God, it's not a stealth part. Are you frigging kidding me? It's like I was so convinced that's what I had to do. And that gave me, that was frustrating. And I find that kind of happens with quests in this game where you're like, something seems so obvious because they like maybe add some like flavor to it just for like whatever. But it points to something and you're like, this is how you do it. And then it's not how you do it. But like you get tunnel vision on it because there's like a prison door that you can also unlock. So I was like, okay, what if I have to find a key? I'm going to go underground, grab a key for the prison door, get into the prison door. In the prison door, there's going to be, or in the prison cell, there's going to be something else that will unlock the other door, right? There's no reason. They don't put things there for no reason. There's no reason they have a cell door for nothing. I got to interact with it for some reason. Anyways, you don't. So that was frustrating. And then the other part was, you get into an underground cave. That's another like Black Knights thing. And what was it? Oh, fuck. This pissed me off. So you're in this like corridor and then there's all these Black Knights and they do a lot of damage. And if they fight you, they pray against you and all this sort of stuff. But once you kill some of the Black Knights, you get a full this new Black Knight armor stuff. It looks really cool. And if you wear it, nobody attacks you anymore. And then there's a bunch of different rooms you can explore and yada, yada, yada. You would proceed the quest. But there's this one really big room that has a bunch of different stuff. It has notes you need to find. It has more armor that you can find. It also has like a different set of armor that you need to wear. And it's like this like Magister armor. And all of this is happening right before the day that you fight that magic boss you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And there is a ladder that goes up to where you fight the magic boss, and there's a guard that's right outside of it. So you have this like magic armor on, these magic robes, and I guess it like represents this like I don't know, this type of person in their organization. And so you try to go up this ladder that's sitting in this big room, and there's a guard right by it. And he was like, hey, what are you doing? I didn't see you come down. I saw you go up earlier, but I didn't see you come down. You must be an imposter. And then your guy says, no. I just teleported out there. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna manually go down the ladder. I just teleported out. And then dude goes, oh, my mistake. You can continue. But then you can't go up the ladder. It's locked. So then you talk to the guard and he goes, hey, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be upstairs. You're an intruder. And then he yells that you're an intruder and everyone aggroes onto you. It's so confusing because if you go up the ladder first, it seems like you should be able to now continue up the ladder. But then as soon as you manually talk to him, he calls you out for being like an imposter. And that part confused me because I was like, it seems like he's supposed to be letting me up the ladder. So there's something that I'm missing. And anyways, it turned out that there's a key hook on the wall, and you can pull a key off of it, and it unlocks another door that will eventually get you something that allows you to go up the ladder or something. You get a prisoner. That's what it is. You unlock and you get a prisoner, which continues the quest. But it's like the room's big. The key holder thing is very small. It took me forever to find it. Like I didn't even realize that it existed until again I had to ask for help. And someone's like, "Do you have the key? You have to get the prisoner first." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about? I don't need to get a prisoner first. The guy's letting me up the ladder. There's just some sort of check the game is doing that I haven't done yet." Anyways, it was I get a little frustrated with that quest and other quests when I'm doing it without a guide, and things the NPC is saying, or there's things about the room that make it seem very obvious that you're supposed to do something, but you're not supposed to do something. You're supposed to do something else. That's like, I don't know. It's just easy to get tunnel vision and think you're doing the right stuff. So that's where all my annoyances come from. There's two parts that I got stuck on, but I got stuck on them for like an hour each. And it's just annoying when you're running around in circles trying to figure this shit out.
We do have to give a shout out to, because their new style of quest and avoiding, I know you're talking about these things that are annoying, but avoiding the things that are typically super annoying in quests, which is you're talking to somebody and they're like, all right, you need to go meet with this guy in Falador. And you're like, okay. And then they say, would you like me to teleport you there? And you're like, yeah, I would. Or there's multiple times in the quest where they're like, okay, yeah, we need to use a chisel on this. Oh, here's a chisel. I have one. It was just,
or it's like in a crate or something nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love it.
Multiple areas have stamina pools, which is, it's just removing the parts of quests that are really the worst, which is, walking everywhere, which, could be an argument for the whole game, but we won't get into that. And having to teleport or go, getting super deep into a dungeon, shout out Underground Pass or all the elf quests, getting so far along the path and then realizing you don't have a stupid knife or axe or something and having to go all the way back.
It takes, I will say it takes over 15 minutes to manually get through the Underground Pass. I was doing that quest. I was doing Regicide and I died and I had to run back to my gravestone in the elf area. And I didn't have enough time. I didn't even get through Underground Pass. I had to teleport out and just reclaim my stuff. So it takes like 25 minutes just to get to your...
Brutal.
Brutal.
So yeah, and as far as like, it's funny that elemental boss, because when I was fighting the elemental boss, I thought that was going to be the tormented demon. And I really enjoyed that fight. I know that you're having some trouble with it on mobile, but I think, I don't think I would have been able to get the kill on mobile. I don't think I can, I can't even chop redwoods on mobile barely, but but it was really fun. And it kind of, knowing now that wasn't the tormented demon and all that'll just be that one-off quest fight, it kind of brought me back to that conversation we had about how, with quests, like the repeatable bosses from quests and stuff. And I do wish kind of both of that wizard fight and that elemental fight, I kind of wish those were repeatable bosses, because those were fun and unique fights. And I guess, slight spoilers for you, after you defeat that elemental, the only other part of the quest is then they do bring out the actual tormented demon and you fight it, which it was, I guess, fine. I didn't really have anything positive or negative to say about the tormented demons. I preferred that elemental like as a repeatable fight, but I haven't gone back to the tormented demons. That was when I finished the quest, was right in the middle of, and maybe we can talk a little bit about kind of the controversy, quote unquote. People were really upset about it. Well, where did you land on all that?
Well, let's get through the story real quick, and then we can maybe talk about the tormented demons. Because I guess overall, maybe this could be like the spoiler section. Is there anything about the story that you wanted to touch on before we talk about the tormented demons and all the crying on Reddit about that?
Big spoilers for the quest. But I will say that most of what I have to say about post quest and rewards and stuff is related to this kind of spoiler section. But for now,
I guess before you start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of the While Guthix Sleeps music, because it's going to be great. Okay. So if you want to avoid spoilers, fast forward until the music stops. If you're listening and you're like, oh, there's no music playing here, the spoilers are now over. Take it away.
Okay. The big spoiler of this quest is that, and it was in the trailer, you could say, and it enters into the very small category of actual RuneScape spoilers, which is basically Monkey Madness and now While Guthix Sleeps. But they have Turiel and Duradel and I think one other person, but those are the two ones that stick in my mind, die.
They had a whole section. Yeah, they have a whole section where you're like gathering an army of people, which is like kind of cool. It reminds me of Desert or Dragon Slayer 2, where you're like putting together a task force for this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So yeah, you get like Gommel, a bunch of people from the Warriors Guild. You get some Slayer Masters, and then you get some like, I guess, randos.
You get Warriors Guild people and Slayer Masters. And it was really cool to see the Mauritania Slayer Master is outfitted in all Barrows stuff.
It's cool.
That was really cool. But yeah, you go out there and Lucian pops up and he kills Duradel and he kills Turiel and one other person I can't think of. But I was a little
Gommel,
I thought that was. Oh, is it Gommel? Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's Gommel.
The big Cyclops or ogre dude. I don't even know, outside the Warriors Guild.
And those are three like huge like staples of this game. And I thought it was a little anticlimactic. Like I kind of thought I didn't want him to see him go out like that. We're in the spoiler section, so the only other real kind of plot twist spoiler of old school RuneScape is Neve dying in Monkey Madness 2.
Yeah, and I think those were handled much better. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, so with Monkey Madness 2, Neve is helping you throughout the thing. And, she's got her bandos and her Zami Hasta and all this sort of stuff. And she gets to a part where she's actually fighting one of the bosses with you. And then I guess the second of the phase of the boss fight starts, and then it kills Neve. And she drops her God Sword on the ground, and it looks like for a second you can go pick it up, which is kind of fun. But then, she ends up getting killed in that fight while she's helping you. And in Dragon Slayer 2, this was probably like the moment where I was like, oh fuck, that's like, it was actually sad. It was such a so yeah, if you're like don't care about spoilers, but maybe you care a little bit, this would be the section to skip over. But Dragon Slayer 2, you get Bob the Cat. So you spend a whole section of the whole quest where you're like uncovering who this Bob person is, this Bob the Cat, and then it turns out it's this famous warrior and all this sort of stuff. And suddenly, like, you get your this like army together to fight a bunch of the Dragonkin, and Bob's right there with you. And then I can't exactly remember what happens, but like an attack happens, and either Bob jumps in front of it to save you, or it just hits Bob. And first off, a cat dying, that's sad. And Bob dies. But then at the very end of Dragon Slayer 2, it ends with you and Bob's like little girlfriend, wifey person, and you guys are at the gravestone of Bob together, and she's really sad. and you're like, fuck. God damn it. Like that felt very impactful. I felt like while Guthix sleeps, they were just trying to be more of like, let's kill off some characters because it's not a big quest unless some important characters die. So let's go kill off some really important characters. But then it didn't feel important.
Yeah, it didn't. I feel like they wanted to go for like a Red Wedding moment where they kill off all these main characters. And,
yeah, that's what it felt.
It kind of, I don't know. It was kind of anticlimactic. But, and I looked it up after the quest because I was curious. And, Neve is a old school RuneScape creation of a Slayer master. But Duradel is from, I think it was 2005 or something. So Duradel is very, very iconic, way more than Neve. And to have him taken out much more anticlimactically without as much, kind of drama or I don't know, just not as well done. And in addition to Turiel and Gommel, who are also, I believe, OG RuneScape characters. Yeah, it just felt kind of cheap, and I was a little disappointed by that part of it. And I was expecting
Duradaddy. He's the Duradaddy.
And sadly, spoiler for you, I was expecting them to come back at the end somehow, but they do not. They are dead forever.
Yeah, it was. And the way it happens is like you're at the Chaos Altar in the wilderness. You're just watching because you're like peering over the icy cliff, and you can see all the people running out there. And then Lucian shows up and just shoots a magic ball, and boom, kills them. And you're like, oh. Okay, I get it. Like it's Lucian's this ultra powerful person who these guys didn't even stand a chance. But like nothing. I don't even think Duradel or any of them, Turiel, none of them were really super active in the quest. You just kind of gather them like, yeah, let's do it. Let's kill them. Let's kill Lucian. And then just kind of dies without any. Yeah.
Yeah,
didn't even stand a chance. It was like, oh, all right, well, whatever.
So that's probably my only real story gripe with the quest. Everything else I thought was really cool. And like I said, everything else I have to say about the not the rewards and stuff is related to the Slayer Masters dying. So I don't know if you want to keep that in the spoiler section or how you want to approach that.
Say it again.
Well, so I guess the big thing I want to talk about with the quest is I think that the death of Duradel and Turiel specifically opened up a reward space that would have made for much more interesting rewards than what we got. So my question to you is, we should probably talk about that inside of the spoiler bubble. Do you want me to launch into that now?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, so essentially what it boils down to is Duradel and Turiel are kind of the two goalposts of Slayer in my mind, where you have the lowest level one and the highest level one. And Turiel maintains relevancy at higher levels because people either use him to boost or uses him to skip. So at the high level, unless you're doing a 10th task at Konar or specifically going for Hydra, most people are using Duradel or they're skipping with Turiel. And there's a lot of problems with Slayer. Slayer is my favorite skill, but there's still a lot of things that can be changed. And when I saw that they were dead and they've been replaced by other people, I don't actually know who Turiel got replaced by, but Duradel is replaced by his daughter, Kuradel, I think. But I thought that would have been a great opportunity for them to say hey, now that I'm the Slayer Master, we're going to do things a little bit differently, or this thing has changed. And that would have been a really cool way to have rewards for the quest and actually give some weight to those characters dying. And yeah, it could have been a great opportunity for kind of a little Slayer rework. And so, yeah, that's, I think, more than, some Demon Bane weapons, that would have probably made While Guthix Sleeps much more of an impactful quest and something you feel like you have to do, in the same way that Dragon Slayer 2 or Desert Treasure 2 give these rewards that you feel like you've this huge achievement for a Grandmaster quest and you've unlocked all these new things. So, to briefly touch upon like the Slayer rework that I would like to see. I mean, I think with Turiel, it would be cool to see just 100% like it work differently than the way it does. I think Turiel skipping and Turiel boosting are just silly. Turiel boosting isn't a huge thing. I think the skipping and like resetting your streak and stuff. So I'll throw out some ideas for you. That could be rewards from this quest and like a new way of training Slayer. So for one, I think that the biggest problem with Slayer is that your points that you get from Slayer are split between, you're kind of being pulled in two directions with how you spend your points. You can either buy useful things, either unlock like different tasks or items or, extending tasks, or you can use it to skip tasks that you don't want to do or block tasks. And I think that it would be cool if those are separated and your points were primarily used for the buys. So it would be cool if there was an item that could be dropped from whatever task you're on. So task only, and at the rate of like a brimstone key, that would be a skip for that particular monster. So let's say Abyssal Demons, 1 in 128, they drop a item that allows you to skip an Abyssal Demons task.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that would allow you still have to do the tasks you don't like, but it will allow you to skip those in the future. And maybe there could be something where two of those would allow you to skip any different task or something. But I think it would be a cool way. It would be really helpful for Slayer, even in the late game, to avoid just that blowing all of your points on skips and not having your points for the things you want to use. You actually use your points for.
It is tough because mid game you do get a lot of shit tasks. Some tasks that just they suck to do, or the loot sucks, or they're just hard to kill. Like my black dragons, like that, I had to skip that because there's no way killing 11 black dragons would have taken me forever.
Oh man, I did the worst thing you can do in this game. I skipped all of my tasks on my low level iron until I ran out of points on steel dragons. And it was 46 of them. It was pain. I went in the catacombs and I had my main there and they just aggroed my main and I attacked them while they were attacking my main. And even with that, it took forever. Oh, brutal. I will never let that happen again. But yeah, it would be cool if during that horrible steel dragons task, if one of them dropped like a skip, so I would know my next steel dragons I could skip if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. Even just incorporating some sort of thing that allowed you to skip tasks that you received as a reward for doing Slayer, not spending points, but of course, and then maybe like have the Slayer points being spendable to skip tasks, something you can still do on the side as well. So it's like if you've purchased everything and now all you can spend points on are skipping tasks, maybe. Yeah, I agree. Maybe they could have definitely added some cool little features to Slayer, I think, that people would have loved to have. But one of the things that I'm a little bit disappointed about was, so still in the spoiler section, I'm gonna guess how the quest ends, because I feel a little confident on it, and you can just tell me if I'm right or wrong. So you're looking for this like artifact that's been going by a few names, whether it's like the Eye of Saradomin or the Fist of Guthix, or a few names it's gone by. But it's this like Stone of Jas is I think what the original name of it is. And it's this giant rock. I think you see it for the first time during the Temple of the Eye quest when you go into the Guardians of the Rift area. And it's this like special artifact that you can like unlock with the Staff of Armadil, and it gives you like a shit ton of magic and you can become a god, which is what Lucian wants to do. He wants to become a god. And you end up, that's where you fight this like elemental. It's guarding the Stone of Jas, and Jas is this elder god. So you have your regular gods, which are Guthix and Saradomin and Zamorak, and then you have like the big daddy gods, which are even bigger than them, and they're called the elder gods, and they like they created everything, and like very little's known about them in our game. But that's who the Tazar worship. They've been around for so long that they like worship the elder gods because they're like the only ones that are aware of it or something like that. It's kind of cool. But so yeah, it's called the Stone of Joss. You're trying to get to it before Lucian does because he's trying to find it, and you have to kill this elemental that Guthix put there. And the elemental knows you're a good guy and you're trying to do a good thing, but the elemental's all like, I'm all about balance, so I need to attack anyone who's trying to get to the stone, even if you're a good person. So you're like, okay, we got to fight this out, and if I need to get to the stone, and you kill the elemental, and then I'm pretty sure now that there's no elemental guarding it, Lucian can just come up and take it.
Essentially, yeah.
And is that how it ends?
Yeah. Well, they take the stone and then they summon the tormented demons, and that's what you have to fight. And all of the living people that you gathered pop in, and they like buff you. So it's kind of cool that your stats at the top say like 200. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm spoiling it. Yes, that's what happens.
Oh, that's kind of cool. No, is there more to the lore that I'm missing, or is it like literally Lucian just shows up and says, "I'm going to take this. Here's some distraction for you."
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so like, which is fine. I just feel like so many of the big quests we've been getting, they end on cliffhangers. They either completely finish the storyline or they end on a cliffhanger. We had that with A Kingdom Divided, where like literally the end of the quest, like the king gets assassinated, and you're like in the cutscene, and you're like, ooh. But then it ends, and you're like, okay, I gotta wait for the next quest now. Desert Treasure 2, Saliski, this like Majoret like shows up, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get you to fight these things. You fight these things while I flee. And it like ends on this giant quest line because now Saliski is like basically a Lucian V1, and he's like, I'm gonna go get stronger now, and my real mission is to whatever. It's the thing, you weren't able to stop him. It just ends on a cliffhanger with him getting away because you got to deal with the Barrows brothers. And then this quest, if it kind of seems like it's the same thing, where like I thought While Guthix Sleeps was gonna be, I thought it was gonna be a huge spectacle. I know people said it's not gonna be on the level of Dragon Slayer 2 or Desert Treasure 2, but I kind of thought it would be very, very similar because I've never done it on RuneScape 3, but everything I hear about it is it's like one of the biggest quests in the game, and it actually separates the game. It like puts it into a new area where it's like, we're in the 5th age, RuneScape 3 is in the 6th age, because Guthix wakes up after this quest. Or no, Guthix goes to sleep or something during this quest, which causes all the other gods to come out. I don't know how different our stories is, but it feels like it was a much bigger impact on RuneScape 3 than it is for us. It feels like this is setting up While Guthix Sleeps 2, which is going to be the big one.
Yeah, and
which I was a little disappointed in.
I could have sworn, and like, I don't know if this is some fever dream or something, but I would have sworn somewhere along the line that this was said it was a master quest, not a grandmaster quest, and it felt much more like a master quest, and I could see the conclusion of this being a grandmaster quest. So I don't know if that got changed or if I just have a complete false memory of that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either, but like the quest was okay. It's just I guess I thought it was gonna be a little bit heavier in terms of like stakes, and I thought this was gonna be like a much more defining quest, but it really didn't feel that way. Even kind of what you're saying with like the Slayer Masters, like we didn't unlock anything. It's just like another quest that the reward for completing the quest is the ability to go grind monsters, kind of like we get that a lot in quests, and I guess I don't know, maybe I shouldn't keep bringing it up because maybe that's just the theme of things. We've talked about it before, where there's a lot of positives in that, which I guess we can get into that now, because the reward is to unlock the tormented demons, which rewards these new demon bane weapons and the burning claws, or I guess the bone claws.
No, it got changed back to the burning claws, didn't it? Or was it the other way around?
Who knows? I'll look it up in a second. But yeah, that caused a little bit of outrage. People were not happy. If you were on the subreddit at all, people were complaining. How closely were you following this?
I've been pretty successful in not getting on Reddit, but there was a lot of talk about it in our clan chat. people saying these things, and I don't know. I was kind of confused by it because they were telling me the rates. Like they were saying about how they can't believe how bad the drops are and all this stuff. And I asked what the rates of the uniques were, and they said, like I think it's like 1 in 600 or something. And I was like, oh, that's it. Like people are this mad about a 1 in 600 drop. Like usually we're talking about a 1 in 5,000 drop that people are mad about. And at the time, obviously this is new content, but at the time it was like a 70 mil drop. So like 1 in 600 for a 70 mil drop is pretty sweet. And then people were saying, oh, well, it's the normal drops. I get like a Guam leaf. And it's like, yeah, that's, and they kind of came back to that same conversation happened during Desert Treasure 2 was, you got bronze javelins from Vardorvis and everybody called it the God Wars drop table because that's how God Wars is. As opposed to, kind of what I've called the blue collar bosses like Vorkath and Muspa, where you get something good every time, but you're not getting these like 70 mil items. And so like, I don't know. I was honestly confused by it. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't done them enough on my own to have a super strong opinion on it, but it might just be that every time something new is released, people complain about the drop rates.
I think it's tough because like, that was what everyone was complaining about was, just the drop tables suck. And yeah, they do suck. They're not really great. And so right now the wiki is saying the average tormented demon kill is 160k. So like that's a little low in terms of like, end game and an end game mob that you unlock for a quest. Like if we just like looked at another, I'll look it up in a second. We'll look at something else, but other monsters like maybe demonic gorillas, because these are very similar. Demonic gorillas was copied from the tormented demons in RuneScape 3. They seem to have better loot. Now, but this is where it sucks. If you don't get any unique drops, let's ignore the uniques. The average tormented demon kill is now worth 13k. So that's pretty low. That feels kind of bad. And I know like doing the Desert Treasure 2 bosses, it takes so long to see a unique. Like 1 in 500 for a unique is still a lot, I think, depending on how hard they are to kill. So it would suck to walk away with like not much, I guess. You spend all your time there. I guess, I don't know. I guess I can see where people complain, but the thing is like people complain all the time when a new boss comes out. There's always some sort of issue people aren't happy with. And so many people just like hop on the bandwagon, the hate train, because it's fun to get all riled up. And like so many times people are bitching about stuff. You'll see that they're circle jerking. Sometimes they're just like flat out wrong about it, but they heard one streamer say it. So they just keep parroting it because they're like, this is the truth. And it's like, you haven't even done the quest yet. What the hell are you talking about? I see the same stuff about the wilderness when people are complaining about it. Like so many people will complain about the wilderness and how it's like a shitty environment and like it's like this food chain Jagex is doing and it doesn't work, and it's like, and they'll talk about like how annoying it is to get PK, blah blah blah, and it's like, you don't even go in the wilderness. Like you just said that you've never been in the wilderness before. Then why are you now going complaining about it? Like people just like to complain about it, I think. So I think I think Reddit just becomes like very white noisy with complaints. That being said, the drops are pretty low. Yeah. So it's like it's an in between kind of thing.
And I've said many times that the loot in this game, it's a no-win situation, because I got frustrated in clan chat to the point where I was telling people like, if you want a rune full helm from a drop, I'll give you rune full helms. Like I'm burned out with getting these menial rune items that are only on drop tables because of their alch value. And they, don't get me wrong, they are worth GP and they will always maintain their value because of their alch value. But it just, I don't know, it always feels, it's just kind of feels outdated or insulting or something to get these rune chain bodies and rune full helms from these end game bosses when you're going for these uniques. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. Obviously, if it drops those items, if the text is blue, I'm going to pick it up. and I will be thankful for it. But there's just something with like expecting that. I don't know. I go back and forth. I don't have a super strong opinion on this. I've heard they buffed it, and hey, if they buff it, then I will be happy to get better drops. I'm not going to complain about that. But I was joking around with some guys, and I'll kind of double down on like I like that people don't like this boss, and I hope that people continue to not like it, because then those uniques will maintain their high value, and then I can go in there and get rich off of them. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's I'm looking up the demonic gorillas right now too, and like I was expecting to be like, well, this is where people are complaining, but actually, you know what? Maybe people are circle jerking a little bit, because the average gorilla kill is 77k, so that's already lower than tormented demons. And if we remove the Zenites, which is what's worth a lot of money, they're now worth 21k. So they're on average, without uniques, they're worth more than, like, just a little bit more than tormented demons. Like 21k isn't that much more than 14k.
Well, to be fair, once the price of the synapse settles down, it'll probably be about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky. I think this game has a hard time balancing it, because like we get a new mob, they want it to be exciting, so they give it like really beefed up drop table. But then it's like whenever a new mob comes out, you kind of now have to compete. People are going to compare it to the last thing that just came out, and they're going to be like, well, this thing is 5 times better than tormented demons, so why would I kill tormented demons? But then at the same time, you can't just keep increase. That's how you get like the friggin' GP creep or whatever. I don't know, value creep. What do people call it? People don't really loot
power
creep. Okay,
or
power creep.
I guess I guess maybe there's maybe a more economical word for the actual like GP inflation.
Inflation, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I haven't even really done them, and it's hard to say. And it's like, now that I've been playing my iron as well, that's a whole different way of looking at loot tables. So I'm gonna say I don't have an opinion on this one. I did enjoy watching people get angry, because you would see so many posts shitting on it, and then of course, because it seems like a lot of those posts are just people parroting things they've heard from streamers, eventually you get a round of other people who are counter posting, being like that they're actually great. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that the tormented demons are quite fun to kill. That they have this shield that when you break down the shield, you get this one massive hit off on it that does like a ton of damage. So it adds this like new tech where you can bring a ballista or something with you just to do one giant shot of damage. So I've heard that's cool. I've heard that there are ways to get a ton of kills per hour by taking the aggro of multiple demons. So that may increase the gold per hour you're actually generating. And the other thing that I thought was kind of cool was some of the items that they drop are like a new style of loot, which, again, I haven't done it, and I haven't read anyone even talk about this, but when I was reading it, I was like, oh, at a glance, I really like this. So let me see if I can find it here. By the way, we were talking about it before. Yeah, they were originally called the Bone Claws, and they switched the name to Burning Claws. But yeah, they dropped these 3 items called the Smoldering Heart, Smoldering Gland, and a Smoldering Pile of Flesh. And these items drop right on the ground, but you can't pick them up. If you go to pick them up, instead you consume them on the ground. And they give you like these buffs, which are really cool, these temporary buffs. So the Smoldering Gland, it will give you prayer regeneration over 49 seconds. So you pick it up and you're going to slowly regenerate your prayer back for the next minute. The Smoldering Pile of Flesh is going to kind of do the same thing. It's going to heal you. You're going to eat it instead of prayer. It's going to heal you, though. Actually, it shows that you can eat it 4 times. It's just going to heal you for a total of 72 HP, which is cool. And then the Smoldering Heart gives you buffs to your stats, which I think are really cool. It gives you 20. It gives you a 20 level boost to attack, strength, and defense, and then 14 to range and 11 to mage. So and it lasts for about 2 minutes before decaying. So, I like that. I think that's really cool that you can kill these things. They're not just going to drop supplies; they're going to drop these items that you can only consume right then and there. I think that's really neat. I like that.
That is cool. Yeah. That almost feels like a wilderness thing. Like,
yeah, it does a little bit. And the tormented demons look awesome. They just, I don't know. I think they look badass. That's neat. Yeah, so I've heard they're fun to kill, which again, you're going to complain less about how much value the loot is if they're actually fun to kill and there's still that unique to chase. Anything else in terms of like controversy or people doing like being outraged?
No, I think I said all I want to say about it.
Cool. The other thing I heard about people complaining about were was some of the uniques. The people complained that at least one of the uniques looked kind of dumb. So the tormented demons basically drop just 2 unique items, but these unique items can be used to make full items. That's confusing to say. Basically, you can get the burning claws, which act as like dragon claws, but they have a different special attack that inflicts burning, which is kind of cool. You need to get 2 burning claws in order to attach them together to make the burning claw weapon. So it's a 1 out of 540 to get the burning claw, and one of them is tradable. But if you're an Iron Man, it's essentially a 1 out of 1,080, which is that's a lot.
Yeah, that's
a lot to kill.
That was when the people were talking to me about that. That was the one thing I was like, wait, you need 2 separate drops of these claws? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And there's the tormented synapse, and this can be used to make 3 different unique items. So you have the scorching bow, which is a demon bane bow, the purging staff, and then the ember light, which is an upgrade from the arc light. Again, all 3 of them are demon bane weapons. The scorching bow, people have said it looks like a chicken leg or like a chicken wing, which I can kind of see it, but it does look kind of cool. The purging staff looks fine, but the burning, what is it? The ember blade or whatever it's called. That thing looks badass. That thing looks so cool. I can't wait to get that. It's a cool looking weapon. Yeah. There's your 3 weapons there. They're your demon bane weapons and then a new spec weapon. What are your thoughts overall?
I haven't used them. Once again, I don't know why we so badly needed all these different demon bane weapons specifically, but where they are useful, I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard people are taking the bow to Krill, and nice. It's really good there. I haven't heard much about the other demon bosses like Skatizo or Duke or anything, but I'm guessing they kick ass there. Yeah, it seems like they're really good for a very little specific niche, and I still don't know if I want a specific niche as a reward from a Grandmaster quest, but I won't keep harping on that.
Yeah, I've heard people say like the bow and stuff. It's a good balance between the blowpipe and the Bofa purging staff, or whatever. I haven't heard too much about, but the Ember Blade looks really cool. That's just a direct upgrade from the Arc Light, so that's gonna be nice. Yeah. Is there anything else that we're missing on before we move off of While Guthix Sleeps?
No, nothing. I can't think of anything I can't think of. No.
Cool. No problem. Yeah, so it was good. It was good. Not as big of a banger as I thought it would be, but overall it was still good. Yeah, fun stuff. Now, we have another piece of news, which I think you're going to be more familiar than I am, but it's the minigame makeover, or as you mentioned, off air, but then at the beginning of the episode, it's kind of like a Project Rebalance minigame edition. Did you want to walk us through what they're kind of thinking?
Yeah. So I'm seeing at the top of this article here, they're saying it's a poll 82 of quality of life. So they're phrasing it more as a quality of life poll as opposed to Project Rebalance. but I'm pretty sure they teased this at the end of their last Project Rebalance blog. So it doesn't, I don't know where it fits in, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, so the first part of this that's actually really cool, and this might be one of the first times they've ever done this before, is they start off with they talk about how they actually come up with their polls. And they talk about basically how every time, people complain about stuff or, send stuff in for content changes or probably tweet at Ash or whatever, it gets put in like a folder of like, hey, like Winter Todd or, While Guthix Sleeps changes. And then they have the whatever the team that is in charge of that, they meet every week with the wider content development team. And they say like, hey, we've had a lot of talks about this piece of content. And then the content development team will tell them like, this is where we can, allocate our resources. This is where we can have our focus. And it kind of sheds a little light on why these little kind of quality of life things don't happen until they do a full rework. And I don't know, it's just really cool. A ton of transparency from Jagex, which is always just awesome to see. And just kind of an insight into how they approach these things. But yeah, so the minigame makeover that they're calling it is basically same as a lot of the Project Rebalance, is a lot of obvious stuff that people have been asking for a long time. So Winter Todd is probably the biggest one. So Winter Todd, in the past, and the biggest meme with Winter Todd is that, especially on an Iron Man, but on any account, you want to go there first because the way that the Winter Todd works, you're damaged based on your total hit points level. So if your total hit points is 10, like when you start your account, you'll only ever take 1 damage at a time. So it's much easier to mitigate the damage you take when you just get some cakes or something. Whereas if you're level 99 hit points, you're going to have to be bringing manta rays and stuff to keep up with all the damage you're taking. So they're going to do away with the Winter Todd directly damaging you, and they're going to give everyone a warmth meter instead of a health bar that will be any damage you would have taken will now give you cold damage. It kind of reminds me of like the sanity meter at the Whisperer fight.
That's cool.
So what that will allow them to do is they're going to standardize the damage that everybody takes. So my understanding of that is that if you eat a cake, no matter what your hit point level is, it will restore the same amount of warmth. As opposed to, obviously, if your hit points level is different, it's going to do different levels of damage to you. So that will kind of standardize the experience, so you won't have to go there at 10 hit points. So you won't feel the need to do that anymore. But if your heat runs out, you will still die. So we will still get to pick up hardcore Iron Man bones there, which is always the best part of Winter Todd. So they've made some changes to their initial pitch, and I'm not as up to date on it, but the biggest thing that people have been talking about with Winter Todd is the fletching, right? So, or essentially the cold interrupting your action, because I know like doing Winter Todd, if you have the little RuneLight plugin that tells you if you're active or idle, that thing just goes back and forth when you're trying to like fletch your logs at Winter Todd or feed the brazier. And so one of the things they said in their blog that they're not going to completely remove the cold damage interrupting your actions, because they feel like that would make it too easy to AFK more than for what they're rewarding for XP. So one of the changes they want to make is to guarantee your first action every time. So you won't hit your knife to your log and then be interrupted before you ever do anything. And so
that's so annoying.
It's so annoying. So you'll at least get one done. But I believe that they're making it a little better, but yeah, that's the big thing, is the warmth meter and reducing the amount of interruptions you take from Winter Todd, which is great. I think that pretty much everybody agrees that is, oh yeah. And this is also something, so the crates from Winter Todd, will now be a stack of crates outside the arena, just like Temperos or Guardians of the Rift. So you won't have to have these individual crates stacked up in your in your bank, like
Nice.
A lot of people have. So that feels like a very common sense change that people have been asking for a while. And then finally,
awesome for Ultimate Iron Man too.
oh yeah, something that I think is super cool, and hopefully a sign of things to come, is they're going to move the Bruma torch to, you're going to be able to wear it in your main hand slot or your offhand slot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can,
huge.
So yeah. And I think I've been saying this for a long time. Like in construction, you can get the Amy saw, which is an equipable saw. And you can also get the Camdozel, the Mkondo hammer, which is an equipable hammer. But both of those are useless with each other because they're both in your main hand slot. So I would love to see more of these offhand equipable skilling items. And there's the Bruma Torch, I think, is a great start for that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I remember they talked about, I can't remember why they can't do it, but it has something to do with like, they need to redesign the way it looks from the ground up or something, because it's now going to be like, I can't remember. There was something to it that was like basically engine work. I think that's kind of like
spaghetti
where it fell onto it. Yeah, something weird.
So yeah, that's the Wintertodt changes. I think that pretty much sums it up. Overall, you seem to be reacting positively to all that?
Yeah, it seems good. There's like a few annoyances from Wintertodt, and I think this is going to cover it.
Yeah.
I hope the warmth thing, that's a cool idea, and I could see if it's working well, it being introduced. And like, I always thought it would be really cool to have an area in the game that was like it's kind of like very hostile, just like the wilderness, just like the desert or Mauritania. Like when I've been playing this game as my Iron, there's a lot of places that were like intentionally made to be more hostile. You're supposed to be a little bit more scared of it, like the desert, like you take damage. Mauritania, you got the ghasts that walk around and they're pretty spooky at first. And there's all these warnings of everyone's telling you to be careful, and the signs telling you to be wary going into this area because you could die. I would love for there to be something like that in the north, where it's like, in the mountains, it's really cold and you have to like survive. You need to like set fires to keep yourself warm and all that sort of stuff. So that'd be cool if this was like one step towards that. I don't think it is, but maybe it's setting the foundation for a new mechanic we could see being introduced in certain areas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish that they would approach this in the same way they've approached a lot of the bosses, where they've taken unavoidable damage and made it avoidable. Like, I wish that maybe, obviously during Wintertodt, you have he throws out these like, squares of like ice chunks that you have to step out of the way to avoid. And so then maybe instead of having the unavoidable freeze, maybe you have some like the Akka puzzle room, you have those black balls that kind of slowly float across the room you have to avoid. Maybe throw some of those in there, and that's how you would take cold damage if you don't move out of the way. Or something like that. It's annoying. I think the most annoying thing to people is like on that, you're getting frozen, it's stalling your action, but you don't even know that your action has been stalled, except for on Moonlight, seeing it turn to idle. So seeing you physically like get hit and stop your action, I think it's just a better like gameplay loop for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Wintertodt is the biggest of these. So Guardians of the Rift, what I wanted from Guardians of the Rift and what a lot of people wanted was a waiting room, like a queue where you would go into and you would automatically enter into the next match that was available, because we all know how annoying it is to spam click to enter at the end of the game to try to hope to get in, and then double click and go in and go back out and not get in the game and have to hop around. But they took a much more complicated approach to it that I don't really understand, to be honest. So they're going to have this like dynamic scaling. They're removing player caps and adding dynamic scaling. I'm not going to explain this like I understand it. But essentially the game will start to scale points scale the damage and the difficulty based on how many people are in there. So that their intention is to remove the problems with people joining and then not helping and losing the game. Basically, they want, if you're on a mass world, they want to make it so you don't lose the game because of other people not participating, which is, definitely a good thing. Because that is one of the most annoying things about Guardians of the Rift. But yeah, I don't know. Their changes to Guardians of the Rift were kind of not not what we were hoping for. They didn't really solve much of the joining the game and feeling like the biggest problem for me with Guardians of the Rift is it's so hard to get in, and then once you get in, you feel like you can't leave because of how hard it is to get in.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm dedicating myself to like a 3-hour session here because then I'll feel like it was worth the pain of getting in here. Which is, yeah, that's definitely my least favorite part of Guardians of the Rift, which is a mini game I generally like. So, and they didn't really do much about that. They're mostly worried about people losing the game because of people not participating, which is also a problem. It doesn't happen a lot. Like if I'm ever on a world where it happens twice in a row, I just hop and you're usually good for the rest of your session. But so yeah, that's the Guardians of the Rift changes. Nothing too crazy there. And then they went on to some kind of miscellaneous ones. So those are the two biggest ones. Miscellaneous ones. So there was a small change to temple trekking. They're removing the bog section, which everybody kind of universally rejoiced on. But that's pretty much it. Mahogany Homes, I'm very excited for these changes. So the idea with Mahogany Homes is that they're going to be removing all of the unnecessary menus. So like when you go to Mahogany Homes, let's say that you're doing like the medium contracts. So you're using your teak logs. Well, when you go to build something, it'll still say like, what do you want to build? Oak, teak, mahogany. And basically they said, well, since we know what you're going to be building because of the contract that you're on, we won't even add that menu. So you'll be able to do it a lot faster and a lot less, holding down the 3 on your keyboard, which is really cool. So I think that one, honestly, more than the Guardians of the Rift one, or maybe even the Wintertodt one, makes me excited to wait until that change happens to do that, because that just sounds like it'll be feeling much better. But then also they're going to move the Amy's saw. Like I said, the equipable saw, they will allow you to move that to your offhand slot as well, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that is good. That's the one that people have been calling for a while.
Yeah. The rest of the stuff is Last Man Standing. They are making some miscellaneous changes. They're increasing the speed of the fog so people can't hide out in the fog as long, which makes sense. And that's pretty much it. Just some little miscellaneous changes.
So they're adding the Perilous Moons armor, which is kind of cool. That's fun.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fun.
But yeah, just little, and that's why this feels like a project rebalance, but I guess it also feels like a quality of life poll. Just little things to bring these older pieces of content up to what we've come to expect from all pieces of content, which is always a win in my book.
Totally. I guess reading the title of it, I was expecting there to be a bit more. I hadn't actually read it beforehand. I was a little bit excited to like go through it raw dogging it on the air. And and it was less than I thought it would be. I was like sitting there. I thought they were going to touch, honestly, reading the headlines and seeing some of the murmurs on Reddit, I thought they were going to be touching every mini game, like fishing trawler, mage training arena. I thought they were going to be reworking everything that sucks. But as we go through it, it is more of a quality of life thing because they're quite minor. And then they just like tackled on that they're going to be adding a new Naga to the Perilous Moons area, which is like this mob that drops these like double-bladed swords, which are supposed to be like a weaker version of like a dragon scimitar, I think. And now they want to add a crush version with these ice Naga people, which is okay, I guess. It's level 55 weapon, so not a huge deal, but whatever.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they need to update Fishing Trawler, but I was doing this yesterday. What needs updated is the Taibo wanting cleanup. Oh my gosh, that is so painful to do.
Brutal. Yeah, I could see the minigames getting a lot more love there, and I think we'll slowly get to it. But yeah, that's I guess the last piece of news. It's not really much at all because I've had a hard time really following it, and I haven't really tried, to be honest. I've been so busy, but it's Deadman mode. And then really I just wanted to mention how apparently they've really flubbed the way this was presented this time around. I've heard from on Reddit. Why do I keep going to Reddit for my stuff? But I've been seeing people complaining about how confusing the information was rolled out because you have all these relics, you have this whole system of Deadman mode where they're building off of it kind of every year. They're making all these changes. So in order to follow it, you've had streamers who are doing it live on their shows where they have to pull up last season's Deadman mode rules and how the mechanics work there. Then they had to pull out the dev blog to show what's changed. And then they had to bring out the revised dev blog about what changes have been changed again. So quite confusing. And I think I'm interested to see how this one goes around, but it seems like it's maybe been a bit less impactful than previous seasons. But again, that's just me making a lot of assumptions from what I've seen on social media and stuff. But yeah, it's also the first Deadman mode that I can remember where I've not jumped on at all. So no plans on it either. We got to wrap this show up because we're going on a little bit long. I feel like I say that all the time, but I'm underneath this blanket and I am sweating. I record underneath a blanket to remove that echo that you sometimes hear, and I am boiling. I gotta go make some lunch. So, guys, if you want to call into the show or leave us a message or anything like that, call in to tell us a story or talk about anything that we've talked about. There's a few ways you can do that. You can head on over to our email, which is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com, or you can call in and leave a SpeakPipe recording, which is there's a link in the description below. Our clan is Wild, WILD, and we have a Discord you can join, which is discord.gg/thewilderness. Type that in, and it will bring you right in for all that fun stuff. Trey, anything you want to say before we get on out of here?
No, join the clan. Have a good time.
That is right. So we're going to pull out the music here. Let's find anything Guthix related. Oh, let's do Black Knight, which is unlocked during Black of Night. Unlocked during the While Guthix Sleeps. This is a port of the RuneScape track of the same name, which came out in 2008 when the original While Guthix Sleeps quest came out. Everyone, thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.